Hello, hello. Welcome back to People Junkie, a podcast about people and their stories, as everyone has one. It's a place where you can get to know their passions and maybe connect with someone you never thought you would. Why did I name this podcast People Junkie, you might ask? It's simple. I'm addicted to people. I start the show off with the word of the day, and that word today is ganas. Ganas in English means desire. Per the Oxford Languages Dictionary, it means a strong feeling of wanting something or wishing for something to happen. And my two guests definitely embody this word. They are amazing siblings with stories of heartache, perseverance, and yes, ganas. One was a world-class sprinter who almost made the Olympic team for Mexico in 1996, and the other is pushing her way in the world of tacos and more. Without further ado, I welcome Armando Hart and his sister, Elsa Barragan. Hi, Armando. How are you? Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Just waiting for your sister to jump back on. So, here she is. Awesome. Hello, Elsa. Hi, Elsa. Welcome to People Junkie.
Thank you so much.
So I had a great introduction for both of you. So Armando, you were the world-class runner and almost an Olympian. And Elsa, you are making your way in the world of Mexican food. Now, you guys are siblings, and I'm so happy to have you both here. You guys are both from the city of Long Beach. We're going to start with Armando, if you don't mind, Elsa. So Armando, talk a little bit about yourself and your background, especially, almost reaching the Olympics in 1996. Wow.
Well, speaking of going first, I came first out of my mom's womb, right? So that would make sense, right?
That would, right? So age before beauty, okay?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's a good one. Of course. No, definitely. You know what? I mean, I don't know if I shared this with you, Laura, but I mean, when I was 10 years old, that was my goal. That was my dream in life is to run in the Olympics. And that dream was born just watching the Olympics at 10 years old in 1984. So I just gave away my age right there. So while you're doing the math, I'll continue talking. So maybe to distract all of you guys. Anyways, so yeah, that dream was born at that age. And, uh, I as a boy, I was labeled as shy and timid. It wasn't that I was shy and timid. I think I just needed confidence in expressing myself, especially, English being my second language. So I think I just needed that confidence to express myself. And the only way that I could connect with people was through physical movement, being the longest jumper, being the fastest runner, being the best basketball player, whatever it was, I envisioned it in my head, and I was able to make it happen and manifest it. And that result of that connected me with people and made friends. So I'm like, wow, this is how to connect with people by being that and, getting to the limits of what my body can do. So, yeah, I mean, and having a goal was obviously a very important thing. Having that intention and that vision, that drive to go towards something. So yeah, that was that dream and that goal was born when I was 10 years old.
Wow. So talk about what you did in order to reach the goal, because you were a world-class runner. You almost made it to the Olympics, and you also trained after we'll talk about that in a little bit. So talk about how you manifested your dream to almost becoming an Olympian for the country of Mexico.
Well, it's interesting because I grew up being a prize runner. So that means that I used to run money races. And that was my first introduction to competition because it was in my culture that instead of horse races, they would do foot races. And this was in my parents', pueblo in Langostura, Michoacan. So I came here and I started running these races in El Hoyo, which is here in Long Beach, which is known as Chittick Field, and also in LA. So I would run these races starting at 11, 12 years old. And I, having that competitive drive, kind of gave me that confidence that I had something special. Along with that dream of being an Olympian, I was able to have the confidence to go towards that Olympic goal. And it started with just being a, 100-meter runner at Millikan High School, which I didn't really start running the 100 meters until I was a senior. And then I decided to walk on at Cal State Long Beach. And, one thing that I think really helped me was going outside of my comfort zone. Because in order for me to get into Cal State Long Beach, I had to go outside of my comfort zone and really apply myself to get into that school. And then also when I got to Cal State Long Beach, I was a walk-on. So I really needed to prove myself. And I feel like having something to prove for me helps, because, I like to be that person that, just kind of comes out of nowhere, that underdog that just no one expects to succeed. So I had that, and I was, eventually was able to get on the team. And then in my second race, I broke the school record, so I believe that if you have the courage and to go outside of that comfort zone, together with the discipline and the motivation, you can accomplish great things. And I felt like that was for me, the results were shown with that combination of work, of the motivation, the discipline, and also expecting that you will succeed. Because sometimes I feel like sometimes we have that uncertainty, or that we're insecure, that who are we to make it that far, or who are we to make it to the Olympics, but if you expect it, and that expectations comes from you seeing it, and once you see it in your mind, you have the ability to feel it in your body, feel it in your bones, and then move forward with that energy. And I was really good at that, and I still am. Life happens, lightning strikes, but there's a way to navigate through that and come out on top.
And we'll definitely get more into that, because you also wrote a book called The Hart Method, which I love. And I was just telling you earlier that I reread it and I didn't know that I needed it. So I appreciate it. We'll definitely go into that. Yeah. Now, Elsa, okay, you are like, I see you everywhere in, LA Taco, the Long Beach Post. You actually have a really famous food truck right now in Long Beach called Mariscos El Garage, which means, the garage of, seafood garage in English. And what's awesome is, you are basically in an area just like any other field where it's male dominated. So talk a little bit about how you got started and, what this truck means to you.
Okay, so unlike my brother, I am nervous. He's very comfortable with. This is for me totally new, so I'm barely getting used to, this.
Okay.
So you're gonna get Elsa 100%. This is, I'm totally nervous. So, but so how I came. Food for me since I was a little girl has always been part of my family. We grew up with a different dish that my mom would make every day coming home from school. This is what I looked forward to. What did mom make today? So, and my mom was always working, so that was her kind of little passion also. She worked in the kitchen at Long Beach Day Nursery, and she was there for over 20, 30 years. So that side of the cooking came from her and my grandma, which is her mom. My grandma lives in Fontana, but every time she would come over, we knew that she was going to bring us something. So we always looked forward to that. So sometimes when we would come home and from school and my mom wasn't home or we didn't have anything ready, my sister, who was older than me, would quickly prepare a sandwich because it was just something easy. But I remember always wanting to prepare myself a dish. Even if I was really hungry, it didn't matter if it took me that extra 15 or 20, 30 minutes to make myself something, I was going to make it. And then my mom, she used to make quinceañera wedding cakes when I was growing up. So at that time, I must have been 10, 11, 12 years old. And I would stay up with her while she baked all these cakes at night. And everything she made, it was always questions from me. What's that? What are you putting in that, Mom? And luckily, she was always very patient, and she always showed me everything that she knew. So graduating high school, I graduated from Milliken High School. And after that, I wasn't sure what I wanted to get into. So I started working for Pacific Care, which is now United Healthcare. But I like interaction with people. And the only interaction I had there were with my coworkers. So I knew that that's not what I wanted to stay in and what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So for years after, I stayed there for about 11 years. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I don't know what I want to do. And I thought, should I go to school? Should I go back? What do I do? So my choice was either American Career College. What was this? Like
American Career College or
it was like a food school. I don't know if it was at that time.
Culinary school? Mm-hmm.
So I thought, maybe I want to do medical assisting. And I went into that. And I loved it, but it wasn't my calling. It wasn't for me. So then my dad had this garage business since I was 12 years old. And he sold his shrimp cocktail. That was it. He didn't want to add anything else to his menu. He was very particular of how he wanted his shrimp cocktail. He was very picky on who cooked it. So he loved what he did. He did that for many, many years when I grew up in through high school and through school. And I would, when I knew I had that passion for the kitchen, I would, ask him if he would let me throw in some ceviche. And he would get mad at me. He would say, no, porque mis clientes saben que tengo el puro cóctel de camarón and I don't like to stress out. So just leave it alone.
Yeah, because his clients just knew him for that and he didn't want to mix anything up, right?
He didn't like to stress out. He didn't like none of that. So he said, just leave me and my cocktail alone. And I said, okay. So my dad would go to Mexico on vacation with my mom, a couple times during the year. And when he did, I would open the garage.
So Armando, did you work with your father at all, or it was only your sister, Elsa?
It was only my sister, Elsa. I don't think to this day I have peeled one shrimp.
Elsa, are you back? Are you back with us, Elsa? All right. I think if you could get your mic going, if you want to log off and come back, I think that'll be a good idea. And Armando, you can go ahead and talk about.
Yeah, no, and I'm not exaggerating, because I really feel like that just wasn't for me. Like one thing, when my sister was talking, and you were talking about my father and she was talking about my mother. It's interesting because I feel like, her calling and her passion was the kitchen. She would ask my mom questions. I personally just enjoyed the food. I just enjoyed it. And one thing that I appreciated about my father is that he kept it simple. One thing that I feel that he taught us was choose one thing and be great at it. and for him, it was that shrimp cocktail. And he was
Yeah.
great with people. I would watch him sometimes, and I watch how he would interact with people. And I feel like I also received that gift of knowing how to talk to people, and then one of the things that I feel that we received from our mother is the will to succeed.
The ganas, the desire, right?
Yeah, the desire. And she would literally do this. She would literally like pump her fist, like
How did I
when
know?
I came home and I'd say I won a race, she was like, yeah, like para adelante, it's like go forward and go forward. And my mom was also great with people. She was loved everywhere she went. So I feel like, Elsa's passion being the kitchen and being great at what she does, I feel like she received that from my father, and also that will to succeed and that will to move forward and that ganas from my mom, and I feel like that's why we're both here, sharing our stories, and now, we're moving forward, and I'm just very grateful for, her success, because her success is my success. Her success is my sisters, my other sisters. We have 2 other sisters. It's their success, and her success is her family's success and our mother's success too.
Thank you for that, Elsa. Go ahead and talk about what made you want to. You have the ganas, so that we say the desire in English. To really go into something that maybe you weren't comfortable with, because you were in the medical field for so many years. And I know this is an ode to Don Diego, your father. So please talk about that.
So, when my dad would go to Mexico and he would leave his garage, I would open it, and I wasn't sure why his customers weren't coming. So then I was like, you know what? He would come back and he would ask me like how it went. I'm like, well, hardly anybody would come, and he would start laughing. Okay, and he'd tell me, oh, it's because I warned everybody that I wasn't going to be here. And I was like, oh my God, like, that's just how protective he was of his garage. He loved what he did, and he did it very well. So he always kind of just, pushed me away. So when in 2016, when my dad got sick, I think he maybe felt that he wasn't going to come back home, and things that he said to me while he was at the hospital, now to me makes sense. And, one of the things that he did mention was he wanted me to start cooking his shrimp. And, we kind of just like, Dad, my mom was with him, and she was like, just don't worry about it. Like, your shrimp will be fine. So then after that, that was pretty much the last communication my dad had with my mom. So after his services and everything was kind of just all done, and people thought maybe the garage wasn't going to open anymore, so I wanted to start it, but I kind of wanted to see what my mom wanted to do. And I just wanted her to kind of start the conversation with me, which she did a couple of weeks later. She said, Elsa, what do you want to do with the garage? And I was like, oh my God, like this is the conversation that I've been waiting for, and I told her, I said, if you step in and kind of help me just the same way you did with my dad, like I'll help, I'll do it. So yeah. I doing it on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And my manager luckily was very, very nice to give me those days off and start my garage, on the weekends. So I did. And I started obviously with the shrimp cocktail, I kept it going. And luckily, me and my both had that recipe. My mom is the one who always kind of cooked the shrimp for him if he wasn't there. And if she, for whatever reason, and I had to step in, he just didn't want me to do it, but he had no choice. I would step in and help. So after I started, and I got a really good response, the shrimp cocktail was the same recipe. So everybody was kind of like, oh my God, like it's the same. And after that, I added red aguachiles. And at that time, it was
Can you
pretty much
explain what that is for people that don't know?
red arrow, pretty much raw shrimp cured in lime sauce.
Oh, that sounds so good right now.
But I like my food to have lots of flavor. I want my people to not have to fix a plate, not to have to go and get more lemon or more lime or salt and salsas. So my goal was to prepare something how I wanted you to eat it, you know, how I want you to eat it. I don't want you to waste your time and prepare. So the response that I got from that dish was also very positive. And then it just started getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And the joy I think I would see from the people eating my food was just making me feel really good. And I knew that this is something that was for me. And to just, you know, work a little harder, and I added more dishes. As soon as I did, the city came. And, you know, they said that they got complaints from my neighbors and that I had to kind of stop doing what I was doing. And I remember going up with my dad when I was around 12 years old. And they kind of threw all the food on the street. And, you know, it was very traumatizing for me.
I can imagine.
It was horrible. So when they showed up at my house, it took me back to that. And I said, no, this is not something that I'm going to stop doing. So I am going to save as much as I can. I don't know how, but I said, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do this the legit way. You know, I want to be able to have my permits and be able to do this because this is something that I love to do. So I worked really hard. I quit my job and I started doing the garage full time. And I worked very hard with my mom, and my husband luckily was very supportive, and we kept going. He kept pushing me, you know, when those times got really tough and hard, and I wanted to kind of throw in the towel. He would tell me, no, it's not an option. You know, this is what you love to do, so we can do it. So I did, and I was able to purchase my food trailer in 2019 for COVID. I know. To me, this is like a dream come true. You know, it's like for maybe somebody else, it's just a trailer, you know, but for me, that's my whole little life, you know, that represents my father's hard work for many years. It represents my family's hard work. So I just had my grand opening July 18th, and I don't know how I did it that day because it was my first time actually working out of the food trailer. And the support that I have is very overwhelming in a very good way. My sisters work with me. My husband works with me. My kids work with me.
Wow,
so
family affair.
Yes, it's like, it's all our family. The response that I get from people it's unbelievable. And I think I got the same, you know, my dad, just like my brother said, knew how to talk to his people. And my dad was very good around everybody. And so was my mom. So I think I got a little bit of both. And sometimes I don't know when to shut up. You know, I keep talking, and every new face that I see come into the food truck, I want to know, you know, how they heard about it. I want to know a lot of stuff. And sometimes my husband's like, you ask so many questions. And I'm like, I know, and a lot of people love it. You know, they're like, I don't know. I just love to talk, and and I love to serve people, and I cook with my, even I think it transmits into my food.
You know what? I mean, that's why I started People Junkie. And I mean, I'm a journalist. That's what I have my degree in broadcast journalism with the focus in sports. And I used to get, you ask too many questions. You ask too many questions. I said, well, because I want to get to know people. I want to understand who you are. And this platform allows me, and as well as my other form is Long Beach Life, it allows me to get to know people, the people in the city and the surroundings. And again, you never know who you're going to say, wow, that really touched me. And wow, maybe I needed to hear this. And you
Yeah.
can make someone's life a whole lot better. So, keep on doing what you're doing. We'll definitely get back to you. So, Armando, I may have just slid over you being, going to be an Olympian. I really would like for you to get into, what happened, why you didn't make it to the Olympics, and, who you ended up meeting afterwards, and, training with, and also your book, The Heart Method.
Well, when I was in college at Cal State Long Beach, we had a meet in New Mexico, and there was a coach there that had a team in Juarez. He was the head coach for the University of Juarez track and field team.
I see that. Juarez. Yeah, that's where my mom's from. Yeah.
Yeah. And he asked me if I was Mexican, and I said, yeah, I'm first generation. I'm first generation American. My parents were born in Mexico. He goes, great. You can compete for Mexico. You ever wanted to do that? I said, well, I never really thought of it, but my goal is to be an Olympian. And he goes, well, I'm letting you know that it's a possibility. So I jumped on that possibility in 1994. I moved to Juarez, Chihuahua, and I trained with him, and I represented his Juarez club at the Mexican National Championships in 1994, and I won those Mexican National Championships. And I was very confident. I remember him driving me to my little apartment in Juarez, and he goes, so what are your goals? I said, to be an Olympian. He goes, that's a great goal, but first you have to win the Mexican National Championship. He goes, oh, I said, I'm gonna do that. He goes, I'll do that. And he goes, when? Like next year? I go, no, like this year. Wow. And he goes, wow, you're very confident. And I did. I won the Mexican National Championship in 1994, and I went on to represent Mexico at the Ibero-American Championships. And then I went to the Pan American Games in 1995. And then here comes 1996, Olympic year. And I had qualified in April. I hit the qualifying time. In other countries, sometimes, all you have to do is just hit the qualifying standard for the Olympics and you're in. And me being the fastest in Mexico and then hitting the qualifying standard, I was in. So in April, I hit the time. So my ticket to the Olympics was set. All I had to do was stay healthy, stay in shape, and I'm good. And this was April. So I had May, June, July, 3 months to stay healthy and stay in shape. And I remember, calling my mom and telling her that I had qualified.
Wow.
I when I hit the qualifying time, and I was just crying on the phone, just, because imagine that little 10-year-old boy and his dream is coming true to be an Olympian. And, I came home, and then I got through April, fine. I got through May. I think this was maybe June, late June or something like that, or early July. I don't quite remember, because a lot of that time is still kind of a blur to me. But I do remember that there was a meet in Arizona, and it was at night. And I had never run at night for some odd reason. It just felt very different to me, and it's very symbolic, because it wasn't a day meet. It was at night, and I just had a feeling something was off. I don't know what it was, and I got out of the blocks, and I felt that I felt like someone had shot my leg. Wow. And I fell to the ground, and I just knew that, my Olympics was over, and it was very hard for me to deal with that. I didn't want to accept it. I didn't tell Mexico Federation that I had injured myself, and they said, just come to Guadalajara and just run a race just to show that you're in shape. This was right before the Olympic Games. And I went over because I had to, and I tried so hard just to get my leg back to health. And I didn't want to accept the fact that I was injured. And I ran on it again in Guadalajara, and I tore it even worse. And this was in front of everybody. This was in front of all the Mexican coaches, the federation. So, no questions asked. I was done for that year. So after that, I really went into a depression. I may not have known it at the time, but I did go into a depression, and I eventually came out of it. I had the opportunity to move to Houston in 1997, which I did. And that for me was the reason why I wrote my book, and the reason why I do what I do. Because, at Cal State Long Beach, I had great coaches. I had amazing coaches that got me really strong and got me really confident and ready to compete. But, certain people come into your life at certain times. And, I moved to Houston because I wanted to train with the best. I wanted to be around the gold medal 100-meter runners. So I wanted to immerse myself in that experience. And once I got the opportunity to do that, I jumped on it. I hopped into my 1965 Mustang in the middle of winter and moved to Houston to train. Right. And I was still injured. I still hadn't recovered fully. I was emotionally injured. I was still, I was still dealing with that trauma and, that depression, but I still had something in me, and that for me, like, that's our mother. That's when she comes in, like, go for it, go, just go. And I went, I got out of my comfort zone. Like I said earlier, for me, going out of my comfort zone is what brings me gifts, and life gives to me when I go out of my comfort. So, and it did, I was a student. I was more of a student there because I was still injured physically, emotionally. So I was just writing a lot of notes. That coach gave me one simple command. He said, just put your foot down. And that to me was the seed that I needed to write my book. And that was the first principle, to put my foot down, because at that time I was reading books on personal development. I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to get through this depression that I was experiencing. So I read a chapter, and I don't remember the name of the book, but it said The Power of Putting Your Foot Down. And it wasn't about sprints. It wasn't about speed. It was about being a better person. So I connected the dots. I said, here's this coach telling me that to run faster, I have to put my foot down. And then there's this book telling me to be a better human, you have to put your foot down. So that to me was the sign. It was the connection of the dots between physical movement and life movement. And, in life, it is important that we put our foot down, with people, with relationships, set our boundaries, speak our truth, that all that is putting your foot down. And that's what I teach now is I teach athletes to put their foot down, because if you think of a ball, the ball bounces up, right? And we all appreciate the bounce. The bounce is a result, and I think we have been conditioned to appreciate the result, but the real work is in the ball going down. That's the initial force, and that to me was represented also me going down and failing, not making it to the Olympics. That was going down. And then being in that down, being really present in that, that experience, gave the result of who I am today, an author and a speaker. And then, you talked about who I trained. There was times when I had also that question that my sister had, whether to go forward with this path in life or to go forward with this other path in life. My choices were, once my career ended as a sprinter, my passion was coaching, my passion was motivating, my passion was speaking and writing and being creative. And, the temptation was being a high school teacher and a track coach, which I was doing. So I was at a crossroads. And I'm so lucky and I'm so grateful that I was able to choose my life path, which is what I'm doing now. And that came actually, when I was in deep meditation and deep prayer. I was asking for guidance, and I literally heard a voice in my head said, wash your car, when I was walking over towards my car after that prayer and meditation, said, wash your car. And I was looking at my car. I was like, okay, I could see why, like, after that prayer meditation, like, God says wash my car. Like, not an
Yeah, like
answer to
what's
what
that
I was
all about,
asking
right?
for. Like that, really? Wash my car? I was like, wow, okay. So I washed my car right here on 7th and PCH in Long Beach. You know, I pulled over and I went to the car wash, and you know, I paid for it. I sat down, and next to me was someone that was talking about training and agents, and I was like, who is this person? You know, and it was Misty May Trainer. So that right there was like, there's my answer, because we
Wait,
started talking,
so
and she
who's
was
Misty
like,
May Trainer? Who's Misty May Trainer?
oh, Misty May Trainer is a beach volleyball player. At the time, she was a double Olympian, a double gold
Mm-hmm.
medalist, a double gold medalist,
Yep.
triple Olympian, I think, at that time, but double gold medalist. And we were talking because we knew each other from college, and you know, she was high jumping on the track team, and she played volleyball, and I was a sprinter. So we started talking, and she said, I want you to train me.
Wow.
I want you to train me. So that was the sign that I needed, you know. I mean, who more evident, but at the same time, there's a great teaching there, you know, that I still apply in life, is that take care of your stuff first, you know. Like, we want to do great things and we want to do great things for others, but sometimes we don't have our own car in order, you know. Like, wash my car, you know, that's
Yeah.
it, you know, like that. There was a teaching there, and and I, you know, and I took it and ran with it. And you know, there were some obstacles. She went into the show Dancing with the Stars. She tore her Achilles tendon.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then eventually we started working together. After that, she started to heal. I don't think she was going to go for the 3rd gold medal, but we started working together. But it was a great opportunity for me, because here I am, you know, with this new, these new ideas that I have, you know, incorporated into my training. You know, putting the foot down was like my first principle of ground. And then I shared with her gravity, which is falling forward, integrity, and joy, and harmony, and freedom, and now and action. Those are my principles of my work. So I got to share this with her, and eventually, you know, she started to feel better and better and better. And it was a perfect experience for me, because, you know, I had already developed my system, and I hadn't written my book yet, but I had all this written down. I had all this in my head. And it just felt great to have someone there that was actually receiving it. Yes, I was training other athletes at the time, but her being just such a high caliber of athlete, and seeing her, you know, actualize these movements, and, you know, do the drills, and then eventually, you know, her having the idea to go for that 3rd gold medal, you know, which I received a text and she said, I'm gonna go for 3 gold medals. I was like, let's do it.
Wow.
You know,
That's
so yeah,
amazing.
you know, and then her winning 3rd gold medal for me was like me winning it. Like that was that for me, it was like when I saw her win that gold medal, it felt like that was also me, you know, like you know, sometimes dreams come in mysterious ways, you know. We see what we want, but sometimes we don't get that. Sometimes we get something above and beyond, and I feel I really did. So I'm grateful for my failures, because that for me is a part of moving forward, and it's in my principles of my work.
Absolutely. So if you're just joining us, I have the pleasure of interviewing siblings, Armando Hart, who is a world-class sprinter and has trained Olympians. And he also wrote a book called The Hart Method. And also his sibling, Elsa Barragan, who many of you will know. She is the owner of Mariscos El Garage here in Long Beach. And, you know, she is a pioneer in the Mexican food industry, which is basically a male-dominated field. So thank you so much. And, you know, getting back to what you said, like I said, I read the book, I reread the book. And one of the things that really, really caught me was you wrote, what goes down must come up. And people don't really think about that, because like you said in the book, usually people think what goes up must come down. And so when you're in such a like dark place, you really don't think about that. So talk a little bit more about that, and then Elsa will definitely get back to you.
Of course.
Yeah, I think it's been part of our conditioning as humans to just be focused on results. You know, when I talked about that ball rising up and going up, you know, we appreciate results but nobody really talks about, you know, someone really going through a hard time and that darkness. And we want to avoid those experiences, of course, because we don't want to suffer. We don't want to go through that. But I think that's life. You know, I think life is not linear. I think life goes up and then it goes down and it goes up and then it goes down. And I just, you know, you bringing up that part, what goes down must come up, is something that I spoke about at my father's funeral too.
Wow.
You know, because, you know, he's still around, you know, and I feel him more than ever now. You know, we think that, yeah, he passed away, but, you know, what goes down must come up, you know, and I really feel his presence, and I really feel that he's around. But I just want to bring a new perspective to life and understanding that it's not just about going up, you know, it's also about coming down, but coming down with presence. You know, that meet in Arizona was at night. That for me represents the dark. I was already beginning to go in through that darkness. That was for me the beginning of entering that darkness, that dark period in my life. And I'm so grateful that I was able to, you know, have a little bit of hope and a little bit of clarity, a little bit of vision to be able to navigate within that darkness, because I think we could easily lose ourselves when we're going through really difficult times.
Yep.
We become blind and we become immobile, you know, and I you know, I went through that dark. I was able to see just a little bit and feel just a little bit and have that little ounce of hope. And, you know, because I think if we're able to navigate through that darkness, we're able to rise up into a new reality, and gifts come through that. And the light will come, and the light will bring with it it's like a new life, you know, because you're able to get through that darkness and you are reborn again. And then life will strike again. You know, I'm going through a really difficult time. My life in the past 4 years has been super difficult, going through what I'm going through with my wife, you know, and her medical condition, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm in it. I'm in that darkness right now. You know, it's been for 4 or 5 years. And,
Yeah.
you know, you see me talking and I'm here and I'm present because I feel that I have gone through dark times before, and I have learned how to be able to stay mobile, you know, to be able to see forward and see to the sides. I'm still able to do that, you know, and, you know, the light will come, you know, so.
Absolutely. And you have such a beautiful wife, Eve, and your son, Raya, is just absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, it's amazing that you were able to bounce forward. You know, I don't like to say bounce back. I like to say bounce forward. And that's definitely ganas. And I really appreciate your story. You know, Elsa, I know you haven't had the easiest of times, and, you know, trying to, you know, set up something that you didn't know a lot about, only, you know, from what your father taught you and your mother. So talk about, you know, how you were able to bounce forward and, you know, now get into the place in which you are now, which is thriving.
You know, to be honest, for me, my dark time was when my father passed. You know, we go through ups and downs in life, but to me, my dad represented security. You know, me growing up, my dad was very, how can I say this? My dad was very protective. You know, my dad didn't want to see, you know, his kids struggle, or, you know, so I got married very early. I was only 19 when I got married, you know, so it was a struggle, me being married so young, and not knowing, you know, it's like you get thrown into marriage, or not thrown because it was my decision, but, you get married and then all of a sudden, I have twins. I had twins at 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, it's like I had to grow up quickly. And my dad for me represented security. If I was going through anything, my dad was always there to take me out of it. Financially, he was always there for me. So, when he passed, for me, that was a very, very scary thing to go through, because he was very aware of, he took care of my mom. Although she worked, sometimes she didn't even have to cash her paycheck because dad was very, he paid for everything for her. He made sure the rent was paid. He also would pay my sister's rent, my older sister, although she was married, and he just always took that, he did it without us knowing. So,
wow.
So when he passed, for me, that was a very scary thing to go through, because I thought, oh my gosh, what if I am struggling? My dad's just not going to be there anymore. So I had to quickly say, I need to do something. And when I found that food was my thing, and cooking for people, I stuck to that, and I'm so glad that I did, because when my dad passed, I promised him that I would take care of my mom. I promised him that my siblings would be okay, because his big worry was my older sister. That was his baby. That was his first girl. So he had this attachment to her. And, I told him that my mom would be fine and my sisters would be fine. So I needed to keep that promise, some way or another. And after my dad passed away, we retired my mom. So that even came with more, I have to do this, and that's where my ganas came. Las ganas de seguir adelante, si se puede. That has always been in my head.
Yes, you can.
Si se puede. And I worked very hard. There was times where I would cry myself to sleep because I didn't know how my rent was going to be paid, but luckily we kept it going and we made it happen. So now that I do see the support that I have, and everybody loves my food, and after 5 years of a struggle, I am now able to pay my mom's rent for her, and now I have my sisters working with me. It just fills my heart, because I know that this is something that my dad would have wanted. So, I don't own a home. And
Not
that's
yet. Not yet.
my dream, not yet. And we're working very hard, so it's just con ganas, and with discipline, you can do it. I'm still trying to take it all in, because it's so much love that I receive, and it's just it's something that I'm here for it, and I want everybody in Long Beach to know who Don Diego was, and now it's like people that didn't know who he was now know who Don Diego was, because they see the truck, and his big old image is there, and just like my brother said, it's like I feel him closer to me now. It's like we feel him now. Like he was there before, but now it's like it's a different kind of connection, and I know he's still here. I feel him. I have dreams that he's standing in my line and he's just laughing at me because I'm going crazy cooking, so I know that he knows what's going on. There's a lot of things that I sometimes I'm in his garage and I hear like a beer can opening, and there's nobody in the garage with me. So there's just little things that I really pay attention to, and I know that he's still here.
You know what? I really give kudos to you both. Like you guys, I'm firstborn generation Mexican American. My mother was born in El Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. My father was from Guadalajara, Jalisco. And so one thing that I would like for you first, Elsa, to talk about, and then Armando, is what advice would you give to someone who's like us, or even second generation, to let them know, hey, this you can have the ganas, but then go for it. Like what advice would you give to people who want to get into this industry in which you are in right now?
Don't be scared. I've always been one to kind of second guess myself and think, can I do it? Just don't think about it. Just go with your gut. This is something that you love to do. You can do it. Just échale ganas. That's all you can do. Don't give up, because it's not an option. And just like my brother says, what comes down must come up.
I love it. And Armando, so I'm going to show your book right here. Probably is going to look a little messed up, but it's called The Hart Method. And I was showing him like all, I really went through the book. You did talk about how, live for yourself and not others, live for your own dreams, and try not to compare yourself to others. But it's hard because, like your dad, you were saying in your book, like for him, the American dream was basically, hey, just get a high school diploma and, just, get a regular job. And because I've been in this industry and definitely struggling a lot, because again, I'm Latina, I'm a producer, and I am, the bar is like right here, and I'm set right here. But my dad would say the same thing. My dad's like, oh, just get, corporate job and you'll be fine. And then little does he know, every corporate job I got, I've been laid off because due to the economy and the recession and all this stuff. I've really related to you in that way. So please talk about, how you got through that, how you bounced forward, and what advice would you give to individuals who want to start their own business or who want to, go their own way?
Well, I think that we're all challenged to be ourselves, and in some way or form, no matter what our background is. That's just a life challenge, but being first generation, being, firstborn from, immigrant parents, that also comes with another challenge, because I feel that my parents succeeded in getting us here, and getting them here so they could have us here and for us to live out our dream, and for them, the success was getting here, and they did that. So, there's an appreciation in that also. Maybe at the time you don't, we're young and we don't see that. But appreciating that is very important. And also just to have just to know and have the understanding that you're going to fail. Once you decide to move forward with your life, to move forward with that goal. For me, having a goal is very important. So, the advice that I would give would be to be yourself, but to have a goal, to have a goal that's out there, and not to be afraid to dream big, and nothing is unattainable. Dream big, have a big goal, and understand that, it's not just about getting there, but it's about being here and what happens here in the moment. Because there's going to be times when we do go down. There's going to be times when we fail. There's going to be times when people are telling you, don't go that way, go this way. There's going to be times where you are so exhausted that you don't see, how you can continue moving forward towards that goal. And like I said before, your way there is not going to be a linear way up. It's not like this, that's not how life works. It's going to go like this, and then it's going to go like that.
Oh boy, does it.
and then it's going to curve out and go like, and then, do like crazy, like figure eights, and then, back this way, and then back down here. And then guess what? Then it's going to shoot up this way, and you just never know, it's because it's not about the goal, yes, you strive for it, but you might end up somewhere even higher.
Yeah, I feel you.
You might end up somewhere even better that you see. I never saw my Olympic failure coming. I never saw that. I never saw that coming. I never saw myself training Misty May trainer, and winning, and her winning, and being part of her Dream and Gold team. I never saw that. I had goals, yes, and being an author, I was taking ESL classes in 4th grade. Who am I to be an author? I'm here, an author. I was afraid to speak in front of the class. Sometimes I would be sick, stomach hurts on days where I had to present a report, in middle school. And here I am, speaking and getting paid for it.
Yeah, I just think that's amazing.
You just keep moving forward, and being the best you that you can be, and make sure that you go to your car wash, Get your car wash.
Get your car wash. If anything you're going to get out of this, it's get your car washed. You never know who you're going to meet there. Yeah. I know that's what I need to do after this. But one more thing I want to ask you, Armando, before I ask both you and Elsa for your handles where people can, visit you, and definitely I'm gonna have to go visit you, Elsa, and I'm gonna have to, eat those mariscos. So, talk about a little bit about breathing, and then talk about where people could reach you, get to know, the heart method, and also get your book.
I have a Instagram at Armando Hart. That's ARMANDO HART, and I also have a website, armandohart.com. My book, you could find it on Amazon. That's amazon.com. And that's The Hart Method. It's THEHARTMETHOD. And I've been getting great feedback, so, it's amazing when I get messages that today, or I think it was today, one of my friends told me that her son is reading it with his girlfriend. So, wow. Things like that are just, just make me feel it right here, so that's why I do what I do, and I'm continue doing it, so.
Well, I appreciate you coming on so much. Don't go anywhere yet. Elsa, please talk about where people can, know what's going on with you, and also where they can enjoy your amazing food, which I'm going to be there very, very soon.
Yes, you have to come. I promise you'll love it. You can find me on Instagram under Mariscos _El _garage. I work from Wednesday through Sunday, and I park on Cherry and PCH. It's 1901 East Pacific Coast Highway. Right in that location, it was a Mianette's back in the day, 80s and 90s, and it turned into a Shakey's, and now it's a nightclub at night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But I park in his parking spot Wednesday through Sunday from 11 to, I like to say 5 p.m.
From 11 to what?
11 to 5 p.m. But sometimes I go a little sooner.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate, your dynamic duoism, siblings, and just, I really appreciate you being authentic with us, and hopefully, people will reach out to you. So thank you so much for joining me on my second episode of People Junkie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura.
All right. Bye.
See you, sis.
Bye, bro.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being here and enjoying the, what could be an amazing thing. I feel it. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, put a smile on your face. You never know whose day you're going to make. Ciao for now.